auto, handle my problems, I ain't scared.
Yo, welcome back, Pacer Nation, Pacer Station fans everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. And today we got another game recap. Just finished the second game since the NBA restart against the Washington Wizards. Came out on top, 111-100 being the final score. Starting off 2-0 in the bubble has been great. And TJ Warren is, again, the name in everybody's mouth. 34 points and 11 rebounds. Coach Jay's here with us once again. Coach Jay, how'd you feel about the game today, and what were the bright spots and low spots from the team today?
Once again, the mental toughness, the versatility, and, obviously Tony Warren Jr., he's playing fantastic basketball. Right now he's the bubble's leading scorer. It's only been 2 games, but, he's basically averaging 40-plus points a game right now.
Absolutely.
And, he's really taken off since Nate went to the small lineup. He's had more space to operate. He's, getting a lot of dribble driving kick opportunities both on and off the ball. It was great to see Malcolm Brogdon, the president, back playing as well. He had a great game with 20 points.
Absolutely.
The thing I love about Brogdon, and I'm going to keep mentioning this every time he plays, is he's never out of control.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't matter how big the game is or who's guarding him. He is going to play within the offense. He's going to play within himself, and as a result, he rarely makes bad decisions. And as you saw tonight, he got. He was in a position to feed TJ Warren. And another guy that's really stepping up really well right now is Aaron Holiday. He had 17 points tonight.
Yes, sir. 7 to 12.
He's really, Nate's given him a lot of freedom on the ball to handle the ball in the pick and roll. I noticed Victor did not play tonight. That's not really surprising. They want to make sure he's healthy by the playoffs. I don't think he has any specific injury. I think Nate just wanted to rest him tonight. At least that's what the Pacers broadcaster said tonight.
Right.
Is that, they just wanted to make sure he was fresh and didn't overplay, and they didn't want to overplay him.
Absolutely.
But to be honest with you, with all the balances we have offensively right now, and considering that we really haven't had a drop defensively,
right.
To be honest with you, I don't even think he needs to play every game. As long as we have him for the 2 games against Miami, that really doesn't concern me. And for all you Pacer fans out there who are looking at the standings, Miami Heat lost tonight, so we're only a game behind them right now. Unfortunately, Philly won. The Spurs took them down to the wire, and Shake Milton hit the game winner for them. So their standings are getting pretty tight. Sixers are behind 1 game behind us, although we have all the tiebreakers. The Miami Heat are 1 game ahead of us. They have been nothing but inconsistent in the last month before the season was called and during the bubble. They, the other night they beat Denver by 20.
Right.
And tonight they lost. So there's, from what I can tell, and I've watched highlights of every game that's been played in the bubble so far, the Pacers, to me, seem to be the most cohesive and the best conditioned team in the bubble right now. Even, big name teams like the Lakers and the Clippers,
yes, sir,
are kind of struggling to keep their legs underneath them.
Sure.
And if you really want to watch, if you really want to tell who's in shape and who's not, it's hard to judge that when watching the stars, because LeBron's going to be LeBron, AD's going to be AD.
For sure.
But if you watch the role players, the KCPs, the Dwight Howards, but especially veteran role players like Danny Green, who are over 30.
Yeah.
If their shots are coming up short, and if their passes are consistently getting jumped, like they were against the Jazz tonight,
right,
they are as far as I can tell, the Pacers' only downside right now is that they're not healthy. But they seem to be in the best shape, and they seem to be the ones who are playing in the best rhythm. If that continues, I would look for the Pacers to finish at a minimum 6-2 in the bubble.
Yeah, that's
possibly
not
better.
asking for a lot. I think 6-2 it could be possibly the floor for this team with the schedule we're playing.
Yeah.
What my biggest takeaway, like you said, was mental toughness once again. Also, that TJ Warren is the real deal. He is consistently bringing it. This was his first game of the double-double. Was it a double-double this season? His first game of the double-double?
Certainly his first game with double-figure rebounds this year.
Yeah, first game of double-figure rebounds at least. But, it was a great game for him once again. I think one thing that this game proved, too, a lot of people that were just introduced to Warren in his game because of the 53-point game, a lot of just mainstream NBA fans who aren't Pacers fans specifically, they would have thought, or a lot of them did think, insinuated based off the first game that he was a three-point shooter, a sharpshooter. He only went 1 for 6 tonight from three-point arc. Still went 14 for 26 field goals overall. 34 points. Still showed he could score in a multitude of ways. He is an all-around scorer. He's not just a shooter like that first game might show. Let's back to Brogdon though. How do you feel about him moving forward after this being his first game back? 20 points, 6 assists, and 7 rebounds. 6 for 18. Not the greatest from field goal percentage wise, but as you said, he's always in control, always leading the team. How do you feel about him moving forward?
Well, he's just as important. In my opinion, he is the key to us being an elite defensive team. I mean, because before Victor's injury, he was by far the best defender on our team. And what Brogdon gives you, and TJ Warren has given us this year as well. He gives you. I actually would say Brogdon's the best perimeter defender on our team because of his size. He can. I mean, forget the fact that he's a terrific leader at the offensive end. He's an equally valuable leader at the defensive end. He has really active hands. He is big, so he's not a small guy. I mean, people forget Victor's the shortest guy in our lineup when we're healthy at 6'4".
Absolutely.
So Brogdon's every bit of 6'5", 215. So he's about as strong as Michael Jordan was when he played.
Correct.
He's 6'5", 215, and cut. So, I mean, like, for example, if we matched up against the Miami Heat, or when we play the Miami Heat, if we are 100% healthy going into that game, I would look for Nate McMillan to start Malcolm Brogdon on Jimmy Butler, not TJ Warren.
Right.
Because TJ Warren and him have a history, and I think TJ Warren needs to have his head in the game. Everybody wants to see those two go at it again. But ultimately in the playoffs, it's the team that keeps their composure that wins.
Sure.
Jimmy's going to go into that game with a chip on his shoulder, but I think Warren will just go into that game. It's just another game. He just wants to win.
He plays every game like he just wants to win. I mean, it doesn't seem like anything is too. I think that's why he's been playing so well with these bubble circumstances. It feels like this is just the perfect atmosphere for him. He's not a big fan guy. It seems like he's a guy that will just go into every game, every scrimmage, every practice like it's his last. He plays very hard.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And what you mentioned it well earlier, what you learned from TJ Warren tonight was, you're right, he's not just a spot-up shooter.
For sure.
Against Philadelphia, that was what the defense was giving him, and he took it and ran with it. Tonight, the Wizards did the exact opposite. They ran him off the three-point line, and they went over the top of the screen. And so what did Warren do? He said, okay, you're going to go over the top of the screen. I'm going to back cut you to death. I'm going to take it to the basket. I'm going to post up your smaller guards. You saw that. You saw it all night. He just, because of TJ's versatility, his ability, and he might be the most versatile scorer on the team. He can score all over the floor. And to be honest with you, the Pacers have a lot of guys like that.
Absolutely. A whole lot of guys. I mean, I would Brogdon. A lot of guys can be considered that, honestly. Brogdon, Holiday, even
Victor.
Justice, and Aaron. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of guys like Justin Holiday, and I mean, even though he started today, he's normally on the bench. Which one of the bench players do you think moving forward are going to have the most important role to finish out this regular season entering the playoffs? Would you say a guy like Holiday, Jakar Sampson, McConnell? Who would you say off the bench is going to play the biggest role for us entering the playoffs?
That's a tough question because we have so many guys on the bench that do so many different things.
Right.
I'm going to put it this way. Offensively, the most important player off the bench is going to be Doug McDermott because of his ability to work off the ball, come off screens, and make backdoor cuts.
Right.
As you've seen, as you saw against Philly in the third quarter, the Pacers' offense is out in the first half was lights out. They were moving the ball. They were making cuts. They were setting screens. They were swinging the ball side to side and getting the defense moving. When they do that, they're as good an offensive team as anybody in the East. However,
Right.
you also saw in the third quarter, when they don't do that and they start playing one-on-one, they're an easy team to guard. You saw Ben Simmons get a couple of turnovers. You saw Tobias Harris get a couple of turnovers.
All right.
Doug McDermott's off-ball movement and his willingness to move without the basketball is critical to our offense. Defensively, the most important player to watch is Justin Holiday. Because when Victor and Brogdon start when they're healthy, when those two guys are in the starting lineup, those two guys are going to be on the two best perimeter players on the other team. That's going to happen.
Sure.
But when those guys go to the bench, who are you going to throw at them? And Justin Holiday has proven all year that he is consistently serviceable against the best offensive players in the league. Pretty sure when we played the Lakers earlier, Nate threw him at LeBron. And, you can't stop the great ones. You can just slow them down. And because our team communicates at such a high level and because they are so active and cohesive at the defensive end, and his teammates consistently are there and are consistently helping and recovering, I think Justin Holiday's ability to guard the other team's best player and hit open shots is going to be critical. And the other thing about those two guys is they can play multiple positions. You've seen when the Pacers went to the small lineup, those two guys have really stepped up and have been able to guard multiple positions and score in a multitude of ways, inside and out.
Absolutely. I do think Justin Holiday plays a big part for the team as a whole, entering just kind of as like the Swiss Army knife, the guy that'll go in and do whatever you need him to do. Even in games like today, he had a quiet night. Was the only starter with a negative plus minus. Only took 3 field goals, had 2 points. But even it's like he's still bringing something to the team. He had 8 rebounds. He's very versatile of a player, and he's usually very consistent as to what he does for the team. Yeah, back to TJ Warren. It's incredible. It feels like he can do no wrong right now. It's like everything this kid is bringing to the team. I don't know what do you think it has something to do with the work he put in since the season ended? Do you think this has been in him and it's just he's flourishing now? Do you think Nate McMillan has something to do with it? What do you think is the reason for TJ Warren exploding like he is right now? Plus 25, plus minus 11 rebounds, like we said. I mean, he's been playing absolutely lights out.
Well, I think I think the reason he's exploding, I think the reason the team is, and it's the same reason the team is playing well right now. Other players might have taken the 4 months off. They might have spent it with their families on a vacation, or they might have, taken a break from basketball. The Pacers didn't do that. They worked out to the extent that they could. Obviously, there were a lot of gyms closed with COVID. But TJ Warren, I mean, if you don't think these guys are watching film of opponents and watching film of themselves during this offseason, you're crazy. I think TJ Warren is understanding better now how to get himself open and how to feel the flow of a game and figure out where his shots are going to be. He's doing it better now than he did earlier in the year. Earlier in the year, he was adjusting to Nate McMillan's system. He was having to share the floor with the two big guys. I don't think he had as much space to operate when Sabonis and Turner were playing together.
Right.
Which is why, depending on how we do in the playoffs, I could still see Turner getting moved in the offseason. I don't want to see that if he's essential to our locker room.
Right.
But if the Pacers get an offer they can't refuse, you can't refuse it.
Right.
But anyways, I think the biggest reason that his success has spiked is because he's getting a lot more space to operate. He's getting space for him to take guys off the dribble, post up. He's really showing his entire repertoire.
100%.
And earlier in the year, he did not have the space to do that. And with all the other pieces on the floor, I mean, he wasn't getting as many shot attempts.
Right. Yeah, the more I watch him play, like even defensively today, the more I watch him play, the more I see the Kawhi resemblance that everybody sees in him. Not just in the hair, not just in the offensive side of things, but as a whole, it feels like even his mentality almost seems very Kawhi-esque, and I can see why everybody's floating Kawhi's name around when trying to find a player to compare TJ Warren to.
Well, offensively, they're very similar because
For sure.
Because they can score all over the floor. I mean, Kawhi can hurt you at the post. He can hurt you on the perimeter. He can spot up. He can take you off the dribble. TJ Warren at this stage in his career really reminds me of where Kawhi was in, I want to say 2012.
Right.
The first time when they lost to Oklahoma City, when they went to the finals and played LeBron and Miami. Right. Kawhi was just starting to bloom and show what he can do.
For sure.
But Kawhi, I think Kawhi has a few steps ahead of him.
For sure.
For a couple of reasons. One, Kawhi's a little bit bigger. He's got a little bit of a bigger frame to him.
Right.
A little stronger. But the other thing that Kawhi has is Kawhi has the biggest hands in the NBA. He has Michael Jordan's hands. He can
absolutely.
His hands are like baseball mitts. They can catch the ball. He can catch a pass with one hand. And right. I just don't. And TJ Warren, I mean, it's not his fault. He just doesn't have those hands. But from an offensive skill set, they're incredibly similar. I do see the resemblance. It's not the cornrows. It's just the way they play. Right. And it's also how calm they are on the floor. I mean, you saw when TJ had 53 the other night, you didn't see him celebrating. You didn't see him, pumping the air or anything like that.
Right.
You just saw him playing his position and, pointing to his teammates saying good pass. Kawhi's the same way. For
sure. The exact same way. And I see that Thomas Bryant had 20 and 11. I'm guessing was he shooting threes? I didn't watch the game live. Was it more of 3-point shooting or was he baby?
Not really. Most of his points were on the offensive glass. Again, that's where we miss Sabonis.
Right.
You miss his physical presence underneath and his ability to clean up that defensive backboard.
Right.
Most
Thomas
of
Bryant's always
points came in paint off of offensive rebounds.
Right. Bryant has always had a motor since his days in Indiana. I remember watching him thinking he's one of those guys who never stops going. He's always going and gnawing at the teeth of the defense. But today at 6:00 we play Orlando. Sorry to cut you off right there. You can go ahead and say what you had to say.
You're good.
Today we play Orlando at 6:00. What do you want Pacer fans to look for today in that game?
Well, again, you got to worry about complacency. You're playing against a team with a losing record. Is there going to be a drop off?
Right.
However, I think it should be mentioned that Jonathan Isaac, who I would say has been their best player this year,
And prayers up for
Orlando's
Jonathan
best
Isaac.
player.
Yeah.
He blew his knee out the other night. In his first game in the bubble, he tore his ACL. He is done for the year.
Yeah. Prayers up for Jonathan Isaac for sure.
So you're not gonna see him. And I think he would be the guy you might throw at TJ Warren. So this will be an opportunity for Pacer fans to see Aaron Gordon, who has been a target of the Pacers in the last 3 off seasons. You get a good look at him, and this will be an opportunity for him to step up and be a professional and not sulk.
Right.
If you really pay attention to who the Pacers have gone after in free agency and in the off season, they go after professionals. If you're on a bad team and you're sulking, or if you're not playing hard or not competing, they're not going to sign you. They're not going to take you off a bad team if you're not giving any effort. So, Pacer fans, pay attention to Aaron Gordon tonight. If he, and I want you to watch how he plays and imagine him playing within the Pacers system, and ask yourself, would he be a good fit? I really want to hear what your comments are in the comment section after tomorrow's game.
For sure. Aaron Gordon's going to be a big piece to watch, especially with Isaac being out, like you said. I've heard Pacers fans saying Isaac would look good in a Pacers uniform. How do you feel about that thought?
I don't necessarily disagree with them. The problem is he's not available and Gordon is.
Right.
Personally, I'd like to see either of them. I think Gordon's a better defender. He has better physical tools. I mean, personally, I don't think it's a contest. I like Gordon better.
Yeah.
But again, with Isaac being out, of him tearing his ACL, that might take Aaron Gordon off the market. So I think if you guys like Aaron Gordon, I want you to pay attention to not all the dunks, not the athleticism. I want you to watch his defense, and I want you to watch his activity. See if he competes.
Yes,
if he competes, look for the Pacers to maybe make a move for him in the offseason.
100%. Well, that was a great recap. Great catching up with you about this game. 2-0 since the restart. Hopefully, we'll go 3-0 today. I really do think 6-2 is not too crazy to imagine. I think 8-0 even, if all works out, if all goes our way, and if TJ can consistently play the way he's been playing, it's going to be very hard to beat us.
Yeah, there's really nobody. Let me put it this way: there's nobody on our schedule that we can't beat.
And again, it's getting harder and harder every game for me to find a weak link. It feels like a weak link. It feels like Aaron Holiday's coming into his own in the starting lineup, even though he might not be staying there. Of course, Oladipo is going to come back eventually. Domas could come back eventually. I'm not even sure what's going on there anymore. But, Aaron Holiday's coming into his own. TJ Warren is definitely coming into his own. Even players off the bench like Jakar Sampson. I mean, Jakar Sampson brings us a lot of energy and a lot of motor off the bench. So
absolutely, you got to have that to be a championship team.
For sure, yes, you do. One of my favorite players in the league in regards to that motor and that energy, personally, of course, just because I'm a Louisville fan, would be Montrezl Harrell. I love Montrezl Harrell's game, and he brings a lot of that energy and that tenacity that you want off the bench. That's why he's such a great bench player, and he's been in the conversation for Sixth Man of the Year so much in recent years.
I actually think he would be an excellent fit here, but with him being an unrestricted free agent this summer, I just don't see a scenario where the Pacers are willing to match what some of the offers he's going to get. I think the Pacers are more likely to go after somebody like Kenneth Faried than they are to go after Montrezl Harrell. And
I was about to say I think Montrezl is just like a better Kenneth Faried at this point in his career. It feels like
certainly more consistent.
For sure. Absolutely. I'd love to see either one of them, like you said. Or Aaron Gordon. Would be fun to see us go against Aaron Gordon tonight. 6 o'clock, everybody. Cannot wait to watch it. Cannot wait to see what happens tonight. I'm going to try to watch this one live. Don't know if I'm going to be able to because I don't live in Indiana. So we'll chop it up probably after that one, too, depending on if you're available or not, Coach Jay. If not, I'll do it by myself. But we'll definitely get a recap for the Orlando game after tonight's game.
Outstanding.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having you again. Pacer
Always
fans,
a
make
pleasure.
sure. Yes, sir. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. More bigger and better content coming. Again, still getting some players, interviews with players. Interviews with players are in the works, and the 2K gameplay is coming. Patience, everybody, patience. I'm still getting the Twitter DMs and comments about that. So all the content is coming. Make sure you subscribe and like this video. More recaps to come. 2-0. Let's see what we can do. Let's go Pacers. Pacer Nation. We up. Deuces.